Warning, the following contains graphic material of a maturing nature. Viewership is strongly advised if you'd like to live a long and happy life.
North of 49, a guide to the rest of your life. Welcome to North of 49. Today we meet Pat Kopp, a remarkably independent 80-year-old with an innate sense of adventure and an unquenchable enthusiasm for world travel. On today's show, we talk with Kevin Donahoe from the Safe Bathing Center about some of the lesser-known challenges seniors often face when they live on their own. And we also talked to Rhonda Parker of Cruise Experts Travel, who will give us some travel tips for North of 49ers looking to take flight. For the past few decades, Pat Kopp has lived in Vancouver's West End in an apartment she purchased with her husband. While they enjoyed a few retirement years together, her husband ultimately passed away, leaving Pat on her own.
Oddly enough, when my husband was dying from leukemia, I was scared to death that I was going to be alone for the first time in my life, and I'd never lived alone. So I was really worried about it.
After Pat's husband died, she opted to stay in the apartment. At first, her new life felt strange, but she grew accustomed to her fledgling independence and eventually realized that she felt invigorated and ready to write the next chapter in her life.
I'd certainly much prefer to stay in my home, and wherever I am, though, it's very important to me to maintain good health and good physical condition.
While Pat maintains her health by eating well and exercising, she says that an active social life is at the core of maintaining good health. One of her mainstays is the Stanley Park Lawn Bowling Club, where she is not only a member but also the social chair. Another seemingly innocuous but surprisingly important consideration that Pat says has been key to her ability to live on her own was the installation of a walk-in bathtub.
I'd had an attack of arthritis, and I found it very painful getting up out of the bathtub, so I finally decided it was time to get a walk-in tub. It would be a worry, sure, that you've reached a stage where things as simple as a bath would become so difficult to do, if not impossible. So it's nice that they have things now that you can overcome that.
Bathing is something we often take for granted, but not being able to bathe independently is actually one of the main reasons people have to leave their homes and move into assisted living.
I spent a lot of time visiting a home when my mother was in one, and my older sister, who died a few years ago, was in one for a couple of years, and they have some very nice places now, but the bathing part was probably what bothered me the most. When I watched my sister having to be lifted under some sort of a sling-like apparatus, you don't even envision something like that because you haven't experienced it. So to see it is, it's an eye-opener.
As a former figure skater with an eternally adventurous spirit, Pat took up rollerblading in her 60s.
In the process of making an S-turn coming down a hill, something happened and I woke up on the ground, ended up with 16 pins in my right femur. It aches once in a while, and it set off the alarm going through security one time at the airport.
Undaunted by airport security, Pat has enthusiastically traveled the world with a friend for several weeks at a time over the past few years.
I've been almost all over the world now, pretty well all over the world except Asia, but I might have to forget about that because I'm starting to get a little tired of long flights and 9 and 10 hour time changes, so I'm starting to think more local. Yes, I think it's wonderful to travel and see so many different parts of the world and then come back to a place like Vancouver.
At 80, Pat is counting her blessings. She recognizes that it's not always possible for people her age to live on their own. With that in mind, Pat's plan is simple. Revel in her good health and independence with gusto for as long as she can.
I always say I love my apartment here and that I intend to leave here in a box. You can't beat having your independence in your own home.
North of 49, a guide to the rest of your life.